In an old-fashioned world, this modern man can be called a saint because he fits all the parameters set by the state. Those people who researched the public opinion, they are also happy, satisfied with this man's opinion because his opinions were proper to that point of time. About the loss of individuality, there is no individuality, there is no private life for him, there is nothing for his privacy in the capitalist society. Hello students, I am Anil, Assistant Professor of English, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Today we are going to look at a poem prescribed for the students of BCom second semester titled The Unknown Citizen. The poem Unknown Citizen. You can see the picture and what comes to your mind. Keep thinking. We will start with the poem's introduction. In this session, we are going to look at about the poet of this poem Unknown Citizen. Then we will go in detail the poem. Then we will come to summarize the poetry. W.H. Auden. Winston Hughes Auden was born in York and educated at Gresham's School, Holt. He came to be known as an accomplished poet when he was still a student at Christ Church, one of the best constituent colleges of Oxford University. For quite some time, he held a few radical leftist ideas, which he eventually grew out of. After his college years in Oxford, Auden briefly lived in Berlin, that is in Germany. Though he returned to England, he frequently visited Germany. In 1939, he moved to the United States of America and became its citizen in 1946. The change of nationality brought about a dramatic volte-face in Auden's much-wanted Marxist stance. He embraced Christianity, which set the tone of his later poetry. When he embraced Christianity, it changed his tone. Of all the modern poets, Auden was the only one to find himself at ease with the much maligned 20th century predicament. He did not turn away from his times, he took them head on. So most of the poets were influenced, they were disturbed by the 20th century, the change in social life, the change in political life. So they were influenced by those changes. But W.H. Auden, he took the change, he went ahead with the change. His major collection of poetry include The Doubleman, The Sea and the Mirror, The Age of Anxiety, Baruch Eclogue, City Without Walls, and Epistle to a Godson. He, in collaboration with Christopher Ashwood, wrote some excellent poetic plays, The Dog Beneath the Skin, The Ascent of F6, and On the Frontier. So this is his brief introduction, W.H. Auden. Now coming to the poetry, what comes to your mind when you see the title, The Unknown Citizen? The article, the in the title tells us about it is talking about a particular man, a particular citizen. And what is so unique about him? What is so special about him? There is nothing special. He is unknown. Now the poem. The poem begins with this. To J.S. bar 07 M 378, this marble monument is erected by the state. There is some monument and there it is written, this monument is erected by the state. This is constructed by the state to honor this citizen. Who is the citizen? We don't know his name, we don't know her name, but it talks about the number to JS bar 07 M 378. This person has been reduced to a number. Therefore, his true identity is missing. Let's go with the poem. He was found by the Bureau of Statistics to be one against whom there was no official complaint. And all the reports on his conduct agree that in the modern sense of an old-fashioned word, he was a saint. The Bureau of Statistics. That means what a person does is recorded in one of the records by the state, that is Bureau of Statistics. So when you look into this man's record, there is no official complaint lodged against this man. Not even a single thing, not even a simple complaint. Therefore, in an old-fashioned word, you can call this man a saint. For in everything he did, he served the greater community. Whatever he did it for the state. He did not curb, he did not feel bad about what he was doing, but he had that greater good in mind. Except for the war, till the day he retired, he worked in a factory and never got fired. Except for the war. When there was war, till the day he retired, during that brief time, he worked in a factory and he was never fired. He was a good man, but satisfied his employers, Fudge Motors Incorporation. So he satisfied his employers as well. He was a good worker. Yet he wasn't a scab or odd in his views. Yet he was not a scab. That means a person who doesn't follow everything in his views. For his union reports that he paid his dues. He was part of the workers' union as well. He was good in the eyes of the employers and he was part of the workers' union as well. Both with his colleagues, employees and his employer, he was in good terms. Our report on his union shows it was sound. The union report also says that he was a very good man. He took part in union activities as well. And our social psychology workers found that he was popular with his mates and he liked the drink. His social psychology workers, they also found about this man that he was good with all his fellow mates, his workers, and he also liked to have a drink. The press are convinced that he bought a paper every day. The press, they were also convinced that he purchased a newspaper daily. He read, he was aware of the things going on around him. Policies taken out in his name prove that he was fully insured. He had taken policies, health insurance policy, life insurance policy, many other policies. They confirm that he was fully insured. And his health card shows he was once in hospital but left it cured. His health card, that has all the records of his health. If he was ill, then they would record it, where he was admitted, how he was treated, and when he was cured. And this health card shows he was once in hospital and he left the hospital after getting cured. Both producers research and high grade living declare he was fully sensible to the advantages of the installment plan. Both producers research and high grade living declare this. Producers research and high grade living, a government wing, it says that he was fully sensible to the advantages of installment plans. With these installment plans, what did he buy? And had everything necessary to the modern man. He bought everything that was necessary to a modern man. A phonograph, a radio, a car, and a refrigerator. A phonograph, a radio, a car, and a refrigerator, which were required to indicate that the man was a modern man. He had all these things with installment plans. Our researchers into public opinion are content that he held the proper opinions for the time of the year. Our researchers into public opinion, those people who researched the public opinion, they are also happy, satisfied with this man's opinion because his opinions were proper to that point of time. He did not raise his voice against the time, against what was happening around him. When there was peace, he was for peace. When there was peace, he worked peacefully. He went on with his job, life, children. And when there was war, he went. When the war was declared, he took up arms for his country. He was married and added 5 children to the population. What else do we know about his private life? He was married and he added 5 children to the population, which our eugenists, people who study population growth, etc., they are called eugenists, which our eugenist says was the right number for a parent of his generation. The number 5 was the right number for this generation couple. So he added 5 people to the population. And our teachers report that he never interfered with their education. He never disturbed his children's education. It was reflected in the teacher's report of those children. This was how his life went on. But still, we do not know his name. We do not know where he is from. But we know everything about this person. Finally, the poet tries to ask this question. Was he free? Was he happy? You have to understand this statement thoroughly. Was he free? Was he happy? The question is absurd. The poet says this very question is not the right one to be asked. Had anything been wrong, we should have certainly heard. Had anything been wrong, if something wrong had happened, we should certainly have heard. Since we have recorded all the moments of his life, if there was something wrong, if he was not happy with his life, then we would have heard. But here, there is no such thing. Therefore, he might have been happy. But the question remains, was he happy? We don't know. Because whatever he did was under the observation. Whatever he did, it were all being recorded. Therefore, this question becomes very important in this poem. Was he free? Was he happy? Though the poet says the question is absurd, this question is very much important and ends the poem in this note. If something was wrong, then we would have heard. But as a free human being, do you think he was free? Or do you think he was happy? Answering this question is up to you. How you understood the poem and how you got the idea of freedom. To summarize this poetry, it goes like this. The tone of the unknown citizen is overtly satirical. It is a satire making fun of that man's life. Was it free? Was it happy? About the loss of individuality. There is no individuality. There is no private life for him. There is nothing for his privacy. In the capitalist society, each movement of the citizens is under the scanner. Watchful of its citizens has reduced the individuals to mere statistics. So we have seen what he did. He had got the health insurance. He was good with the state. He had the proper opinion of the time. He added 5 children, which was the right number of people to be added for that generation. He always bought the newspaper. He was sensible to all the advertisements. He was under EMI plans to buy all the things which made him a modern man. So all these things were very statistical, erasing their personalized entities. So with all these details, we don't know this man's name. Therefore, his true self has been erased. We know only him. We know him only as a number in the record. The law-abiding and conformist citizen is bereft of all signs of life and individuality, including a name merely tagged to a random number. A law-abiding and conformist, that means whatever the law was, if a person does not talk about it, if a person does not react for that law, then what happens? An individual, his individuality is lost and name is gone, and that is tagged to a random number. The soulless existence of the citizen is constantly in need of being endorsed by the state. Now, this citizen has no soul. He cannot think freely for himself. Whatever the state directs, this man follows. For he lacks free will, either to dissent or to deviate. He lacks his free will. There is a path set and this man does not deviate from the path, or this man has no free will to oppose the road. He does not want to take a different way. The questions about his freedom and happiness are quintessentially irrelevant as the state considers these questions treasonable and incendiary. These questions about his freedom and happiness are quintessentially irrelevant. These questions of freedom and individuality, they become null in front of the state. Because if you deviate from these questions, you are considered treasonable or they can be incendiary. The state will consider it against itself and may take actions. Therefore, the poet is trying to ask this question, was he free? Was he happy? And finally, the citizen is unknown. He was reduced to a number. And in that number, the state says, this monument has been erected by the state. And in the modern world, in an old-fashioned word, this modern man can be called a saint because he fits all the parameters set by the state. I hope you understood the poem. The poem is very simple. The unknown citizen losing the individuality, losing freedom, losing free will, and following blindly the rules set by the states. And finally, the question is, are we free? Are we happy? If we do not question the state and its policies, then what kind of an individuals are we? With this, we shall meet in the next class. Thank you.